I'm doing this video at home because this is a way of processing the clay at home that's less messy. You'll get about the same amount of clay that you would with the primitive way. It's going to take about the same amount of time. Only difference is you're going to be getting a bit better quality of a clay doing it this way. And of course we're going to be using more day-to-day items, more modern items to do this. Still real simple, real easy. So let me show you what you'll need. This is my bucket of clay. Same clay we used with the primitive clay processing video. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking some clay and putting it in another white bucket. Reason why is I'm going to be using this clay in another video, and I'll explain to you why I did that in the other video. But it'll make sense in the other video. I have 3 large jars. You can use mason jars if you want. I like using these jars. If you can find a bigger jar, go for it. You don't need 3. You could use 1, 2, 4, whatever. And I'll show you what we do with them later on. What I have here is just 3 different types of clay bags I made, sewn up on 3 sides with just 1 opening. And once we're done, we put the clay in here and we hang it up and we let the clay dry a little bit. Let some of the water drip off. I got one made out of an old pair of blue jeans. I cut the leg off and I sewed up one end. I got another one made out of canvas. I folded over and just sewed up the 2 sides and left an opening. And this is just an old cheesecloth bag I had laying around. Last items, some kind of sieve. Show you why later. A small little bucket, cup, canteen cup, whatever. Something I had laying around, so I'm going to use this. New bucket. The soil from the other bucket. Some water. I didn't feel like dragging the hose out here, so I just filled this up with some water. All we're going to do is fill up this bucket with water. So I have the soil about right here, so we're going to fill it up almost to the top. Alright, that's good enough. After we filled it up, you can use a shovel, a little digging, stirring stick, or your hands. And you want to mix it all around. Break it all up.
Come on, move this back to the table.
You want to mix this up as best as you can. Try to break up any clumps of soil you have. Try and make a real good slush, just like we did with the holes in the primitive clay video. Break everything up, mix it up real good. Here we go. Nice little things mixed in, still moving. So we're going to let this settle for a few minutes, and we're going to get our jars and our sieve ready. Alright, next step. We're going to be taking the water off the top first. Just like that. The lid on and set it to the side. I'll let it settle. And we'll do that with every jar we have. Take it off the top. Now we're going to let the water, or we're going to let the clay settle, and I'll show you what it looks like after that happens. It's going to take a while. More clay you have in the water, the longer it's going to take for all the clay to settle. But what you'll get is, you'll get your layer of clay, and then you'll get, the water right here. We've gotten some rain. But so things look wet, that's why. These jars been sitting out here for a while. You see not all the clay settled, still a little bit muddy looking. But we're going to pour off the water anyways. So the next step is just to pour off the excess water. You see all the junk comes with it, all the small debris and stuff that made it past our little filter. See if I can get better what's going on here. See him back. The more we play around with this, more kind of mix all that clay back in the water. All we're doing is pouring off that water. That's good. You don't want to pour off too much clay there. I think I poured off too much clay on that one. Do this one here. See, we didn't get that much clay on this run, but All we have to do is repeat the process until we get the amount of clay we want. Just note, one of the reasons why we might have not got the amount of clay I originally wanted is because my soil's up only to here. Add a little bit more soil, I'll get a little bit more clay on each run. Just a little side note. But you always want is about 1/3 clay, 2/3 water. I went a little less than 1/3 clay, or 1/3 soil. So I think before our third run, I might put some more soil in here, and that'll also give us more clay, and hopefully that'll bring it to about maybe around here on each jar of clay. We'll see. Here. So I'll see you on our next run. It's in between showers right now, and as we wait for the clay to settle in these containers, I thought about adding some more soil to this bucket, as I talked about earlier. So I figured we'll just do that, and all I'm going to do is, just like the primitive clay processing video, all I'm going to do is just add soil to this bucket. By doing that, I'll be adding more clay into the mix, so I'll be able to extract more clay from my water when I put into my glass jars, containers. I'm also breaking it up as I put in here, just so it's easier to mix up on our next fill. It's about right there. So that's about 1/3 full, and later on, when this water clears up a little bit more, we'll do the same thing we did last time. Dump the water out, fill this up with water again, and top all these off. So this is going to be our third fill. We already added more soil into here. So we're going to pour these off, mix this up, and then add more to each of these containers. I'll see you after everything settles down. What we're going to be doing next is pouring the water off the top of these and consolidating all our clay into one container. And then we're going to let all that clay settle, which may take a few days. And then we'll be taking the water out of that container and then removing the clay. But what we might want to do, what I might be doing as I'm doing that, is the other two bottles, I might try and collect some more clay in them, just to make sure I have about a half of a container here of clay. And we don't have to take out all the water. Here. Since this is filled up all the way, we're just going to do another run on these two. Let this settle, drain it off, and then we'll put what's left in here. I'll see you when everything settles again. we're going to let this settle. Might take a few days, but we're going to let it settle as best as it can to get as much of the clay settled down to the bottom. And try to let the water clear up as best as we can before we dump it out. So I might just let it sit here for a few days. And I'll show you what I mean. Water hasn't cleared up that much. If you see that right here is pretty much where the clay line is. So we're going to dump the water off first. I think we're going to be using this one. Try and get all this clay in here. What we're going to do here. Set in here. Keep it a little bit balanced. Now all we're going to do is get some string, tie it up and hang it up and let it dry. We're not going to let it dry. We're just going to let a lot of that water seep out. Supposed to get a lot of rain in the next few days, so I wanted to do this now. Now that we got our clay tied off, letting gravity do its work and pull all the water, all the excess water out of the clay, we're just going to let it sit here and wait until it gets to a better usable state, which time we'll take it off and put it in some plastic bags, save it for our next little project. It's been about 2 days since we put this clay out here to dry, or to thicken up I should say, not to dry. Now keep in mind, even though it's been 2 days here and it's June, doesn't mean you should leave your clay out 2 days where you live too. I mean, it's been pretty humid here. So let's take this off and look at what we got. Our goal wasn't to really get this clay to the perfect usable state. We just wanted to get it to a state where we could store it and pull it out later and use it. And we could always add a little bit of water or work it a little bit to take some water out of the clay. It's actually looking pretty good. It's a little bit on the dry side, but like I said, just like the primitive clay, we're just gonna throw these in these Ziploc bags. And the reason why I just use these Ziploc bags because I did store these wherever and the clay won't dry out. So when I'm ready to use them, I can just pull the clay out, start working it. I don't have to rehydrate it or anything. There you go. So, here's our clay. In our next video, we'll be using this clay and some primitive clay from our last video and from the article to make some pots and some other small little knick-knack items, I guess. I'll probably be going over a few different ways of making pots. I'll go over adding temper to your clay and probably aging your clay as well. So as far as this video, we're done. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And I'll see you in our next video. Thank you.